Hello and welcome to Australian Crossover Part 5. Patch and Butley here. I'm Patch. Hello, Butley.
Hi.
If you haven't watched the first few parts, this is the next part. You should watch the first few parts.
Kind of integral to the story.
Oh, a story?
Yes.
Well,
The
anyway.
story of how Australia became great. It was a long and treacherous path, but we made it in the end.
Did we really?
I don't know. I haven't seen part 5 yet. Anything could happen.
Well, so yeah, Civs. So
Public schools teach science? How un-Australian.
bloody hell.
Sorry.
This is.
I'm in a mood. There's no stopping.
We already did the Australian education jokes.
Okay, I'll stop.
No, it's good. Sure as hell beats what I have to talk about.
I'm all out of intelligent jokes.
Unlike the normal rambling I like to do, I've actually got a topic.
A topic?
Yeah, a
Ew,
topic.
what is this? Tactics Ogre? God, you guys, Patley, in your prepared statements and filth.
Shoutouts to longtime fans. Okay, so
I still can't get over the fact that you play without the resources on. I can't tell what any tile is anymore.
it's magic, isn't it?
I know, no, it's the opposite of magic. Bad. Okay, you wanted to say something.
no.
I will shut up now.
No, well, I've talked a lot
I've
about.
clearly destroyed your train of thought.
No, I'm actually quite tired, so this is being great help to me.
It's all your fault.
It is. Anyway, so
I should have got some water.
Alright. What I wanted to talk about was Civs and improvements.
Oh my god, no way. Crazy. Why would we talk about a game like Civs while playing a game like Civs?
Well,
So why aren't you popping your great musician there?
I
Are you
don't
waiting
have
for
any
Barnsley to be
slots.
born?
I don't have any slots.
That's it. Barnsley doesn't perform unless it's in like a cheap, dusty pub.
They should have done that. That would have been great. Australian building replaces the theatre, cheap pub.
The problem is they should replace the Opera House and make the Opera House a wonder, or like the national.
Isn't it?
College.
Or is it a
I don't
national
know.
wonder?
But it'd be dumb making other opera houses.
Maybe.
There is
There
only
is a
one
Sydney
opera
Opera
house
House in the game.
Australia.
What would happen if the Sydney didn't build the Opera House? What if I built it in Melbourne? Do you think that would fix the game?
Yep, apocalypse now.
I don't know why this keeps
You're
happening.
declaring war?
No, I don't know what happened. I think a scouting unit must have tried to declare war for me on my
Yeah.
behalf. By the way, at some point we will just suddenly meet all the nations. Spoilers, because we get
like it.
the national government thing.
Oh!
Simba.
That grey screen. grey screen of death.
So, what I was planning and trying to talk about was Civs, and how you can. And we already did that joke. And the things you could do to change it and improve it. Because I like to criticize games, but I also like to think of ways that they could be better. And
I think criticism is unfounded without providing ideas or alternatives or a path forward.
I disagree with you, but for the sake of getting along just fine, we'll just keep going.
Well, you can't say, oh, this sucks, because it sucks. You have to be like, well, the alternative is this.
Well, I guess that's
This.
true. You need an alternative.
Yeah, I'm not saying you have to like fully map out and say, oh, I hate how science is done into this game. You need to have this complex science thing where this does this and that goes like that. But you need to say, oh, science sucks because of this, this, and this. So if they could somehow eliminate that, that's what I mean. It's still a solution.
So, what I specifically wanted to bring up was the implementation of city-states. I guess this in general is sort of like a commentary on Civs.
Tony Abbott,
Yeah, Tony Abbott. I was so excited. I wanted to see what his
Really?
quote was.
you were the only one in the country? What? That does sound like a thing that would happen in Australia. It's the caliber of our prime ministers.
Welcome to our politics. We don't do political jokes here.
Hey, the game's doing all the political jokes we need.
So,
I think you should continue down your path of making money because you're broke in this game.
it's only making me lose like 11 science out of 290. 200
That's a
out
lot.
of like 300. Sorry.
You're not paying 11 scientists? Whoa.
Hey! I thought we said we weren't going to do Australian social commentary. Uh, so
Wow.
I don't know. So what I wanted to talk about was Civs as a game. Like it's always been a game, if you know what I mean. Like when you play Crusader Kings or EU4, the games aim to be like a simulation, like a historical
Will
or
you
alternate
accept my
history
friendship?
simulation. And Civs has always sort of veered away from that. It's always just been like a sort of like a board game or a computer game.
It definitely tells you what path to go down and gives you goals and targets and
Yeah.
things like that.
And that's always been a bother to me because I always felt Civs would be so much better as a simulation game, where it's sort of simulating a theoretical real world and how you interact in it. The only place it really seems to do that is in like diplomacy. When you're talking to other Civs, they're meant to be, realistic other people. In place
Which
of the
they're
friends
not,
you don't have
but
to play this game with.
they're pretty poorly. Well, I got Civ 6 to play with my friends, and then Civ 6 said, "Co-op with your friends, piss off."
Yeah.
And so that's why we don't play Civ 6 anymore.
So fundamentally, what I was thinking is, what I've always felt is that Civs would be better as like a bigger game, like much larger, bigger, more nations, more people. I'm talking like 30-player games instead of 12, or more even, and giant sprawling worlds where you fill it all up. And I get one of the big problems of that is that your management becomes a bit, finicky.
Yeah, it's very micromanagement.
Yeah, and that would be less fun. But hear me out, hear my ideas, because my ideas, I don't think they're terrible. Because I came
Well,
up
that's what we're
with
here for.
them. Oh, just for me? That's so sweet. So
No, to massacre your incredible ideas.
Oh, well, that's good as well. So the idea was like, say you have a game of say 30 odd players, and you're playing Venice, right? Not Venice in Civ 5. Actually, that's a really bad example. Say you're playing Australia, and you've got Sydney, and you're sitting there playing, and then you notice your game's not going too well, and your neighbors are starting to get, pretty big, and you're a little worried that eventually things might not go so well for you. So what you do is you declare, you unlock a certain technology, a certain, threshold, civic or whatever, and you declare yourself a city-state, and you say, for the rest of the game, I'm going to be one city, and that's how I'm going to play. However, I can join in other teams and essentially act as a neutral extra limb that other players can not specifically hire, but you can join in with them and gain advantages, and they can get the advantage of having you.
Yeah.
And that changes how you'd play the game. For the rest of the game, you are maybe not entirely locked in as a city-state, but you are a city-state for the near future.
Can't believe you just traded the Herald.
No, I
It's a
got.
national icon.
I had to get some advice from Mufasa. I check it out in a sec. In a minute.
You couldn't figure out how to do it.
I was trying to figure out which ones were the ones I borrowed. There we go.
Ta-da!
Got my theming bonus. So basically the idea is you would completely remove city-states, and add players who play as city-states. And those players can still play the full experience of the game. There we go. Good on you, Mufasa.
Does he actually say that? He must do.
No. It's a Disney
I mean,
quote.
In the movie.
No. It's just a
What do you
quote.
mean it's a Disney quote?
It's a quote from Aladdin.
Oh, right. Right? Wow. That's bizarre. What the
New
hell?
Fantastic point of view.
Yeah.
A whole new world.
What? What? Who made this mod?
The Lion
All
King
the
one?
cool Lion King quotes, and you went with Aladdin.
No, the Mufasa's imagine he's senile, basically. Or I mean his head is in the clouds, so we'll go with that.
He's so meta. He's actually watched all the Disney movies. He's self-aware of the lion in the show that he is, and he didn't actually die.
We've transcended reality.
Uh,
Anyway, so my idea was right. So you can play a city-state, and a lot of these ideas sort of come from CK2 and EU4 games that we've played where it does try and simulate the worlds a bit more. I'm not saying Civs should be like those games because I do like a lot of the mechanics of Civs, but I feel like a step towards being a simulation rather than being a game, because Civs does tend to be very gamey. I think it would be a great help to the game.
So you try and like devolve into a city state to make yourself look like you're not worth conquering.
Well,
and you
yeah.
can, like it's like it makes a different kind of pact / alliance with people. And
Yeah, and with this, I'd like to say that I would imagine in this game that victory conditions aren't mutually exclusive. That is to say, one player doesn't just win. It's not like, okay, this player won, that's it, game over. It would be a case of like a group of players who came together to do something would win. Say like one of the win conditions would be form like a federation of, you know, united people who say we're going to be living in peace, we're going to, you know, work together to try and make the world better and improve things, and that would be like one outcome. And then another outcome would obviously be like, oh, I control the most of the world, I'm still in charge, everyone serves under me, you know, that sort of thing. You could still have your win conditions, it's just you could have united win conditions where you're not strictly winning just because you beat the science race and launched a rocket, or
the Empire,
yeah,
Holy Australasian Empire,
and
Australasiana.
that's sort of the idea I was operating under, is that one player winning doesn't mean every other player has to lose. And so with that, I want so on from that. So you've noticed that they've stolen Toowoomba from us.
What?
They stole
Oh, the
Toowoomba
city
from
state.
us. No,
What?
the underground. They have Toowoomba because they ran out of names for their cities.
Oh, right.
So they started stealing names of other civs.
So you're gonna go and attack them?
No, I'll let them have Toowoomba. I'm happy with 4 cities.
I'm gonna make a "well, it's only Toowoomba" joke based on like the handful of times I've been through Toowoomba.
Oh dear.
Anyone from Toowoomba watching this, I apologize.
Shoutouts to Toowoomba. And your terrible city.
We took it, the rat team.
No, the underground, the monsters from Undertale.
They're in a better place.
Well, better than Australia. Okay.
Isn't Undertale a tale of joy?
Well, I think it's pretty much the same as Australia. They're both places everyone loves to visit, but they're both full of monsters.
They have catchy music.
Yeah, I'm fishing for jokes as well. Anyway, so,
I don't know enough about Undertale to make jokes about this.
so with the idea that you could become a city-state, the other thing I was interested in is vassalage, because what I've noticed in Civs, if you get conquered, that's it. You get conquered, you die. At least in Civs 5.
Yes.
Vassalage was an option in Civs 4, and I don't know, what I've always felt is that if you had more players, becoming a vassal wouldn't be as big of a deal, and you could still act as like a part of the nation you are a vassal of, and work towards their goals and pay them tribute and everything. And it'd just be a nice alternative to being destroyed. Because if you remember, I was trying to get some money out of him. What I was thinking of is in Crusader Kings 2,
They have guns.
how yeah, they've had guns for a while.
Do you have guns?
No, I do actually have the Gatling guns now, so I can get them.
Okay.
What I was thinking is in Crusader Kings 2, you've got your head is, you know, your king, your monarch, and below them is, you know, dukes and your counts and everything, and
Right.
they own different portions of the land. And what I was thinking is, wouldn't it be interesting is if in these early stages of the game where you have kings and monarchs and feudalism, wouldn't it be interesting if if you got conquered, you could become a part of that nation and serve under them as an extra piece of their nation? And then the idea would be
It's hard to imagine in Civs.
yeah,
There's a lot of different pieces that would need to be commingled to make that operate.
Well, the biggest idea is the last one, but the idea was basically, you know, that way you're not out of the game if you lose, because Civs really is a game that's meant to be, you know, played to an end, and it's no fun if you get rushed by Attila and he stomps you because he got a battering ram before you could get any military units. Like, you know, that's just nonsense. And
Yeah, it's a tough one. Yeah, I get where you're coming from.
yeah,
Like you said, like you started with, it's still a game, and
yeah,
to be a game, you have to be able to lose, and you can
yeah.
definitely lose in this.
And I'd rather see it. And I'm not against losing. I mean, if someone completely stomps you out and absolutely kills you, sure, you can lose. But I just thought it'd be a cool idea to promote sort of this simulation mentality where you can take other people on board and they can work for you. And you know what that does? That mitigates the amount of micromanaging you have to do personally, because now you've got these little pieces of your nation controlled by other people, and they can continue to build your nation for you, and that can, you know, can keep contributing to you as a whole. But it doesn't mean that you are strictly doing it all. You know, it sort of
I think
evens it out a bit.
Civs or no Civs, that's something I've always thought would be cool. A game like that, where you have multiple people working on
On a single nation.
a single nation or a single task. Yeah, and
Yeah.
so maybe you need someone who's at the top who manages certain things, but they delegate. I guess it sounds a bit dumb when you start saying they delegate resources and stuff, because it's like, he's the accountant. It's like making a budget, shit
No,
like that. But if
that's-
you tidy it up nicely, it'd be good to
I
do
mean,
that.
I'm
Remember
not
when
saying
we
that's fun, but I'm saying that that's interesting in its own right because it uses a different set of skills that you don't often see in video games.
the example that we did once, we played Transport Tycoon Deluxe,
Yeah.
Open TTD, and we basically said we're going to take this one city and we're going to all work as the same company and basically just try and grow this one city as big as we can. But every person is going to get one job. So
Yeah.
your job is to bring food. Your job is to bring, to work
Water.
coal. Your job is to bring people, and your job is to do buses or something. And whatever it was, I can't remember the specifics, but everyone had a job, and everyone had to like communicate when you needed the money or where you needed the space. Like we needed a passenger train near the city, near the heart of the city, so that when it grew a bit, we still had a good train space. And
Yeah.
we discussed when to build an airport. We discussed when to like fund road building and stuff.
We planned around, where we were going to build our train
Oh my
stations.
God.
And we all linked up and things. Like, oh yeah, this is it. We're meeting everyone now.
Yay.
So there's console edit Stark.
Yeah.
Do you like that one?
He's from Dynamic.
Uh-huh.
That face. It's like stretched to fit the screen. Oh my God, Conda.
Oh yes. Finding Magic the Gathering ones was actually a little hard. And that's it.
I'm
That's
surprised.
all of them. That's it. That's the end of the Let's Play. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, we've met everyone. We've had all our fun. Game over.
No, well, yeah, that's... I like that sort of thing where you do divide up what is arguably either an overwhelming task or something that is really finicky to do individually. Like, and you divide it amongst a large group of people, and it does allow you a lot of creativity. I don't know, just...
Yeah, it does sound boring when you talk about it in terms of like, having a real life working structure. But if you could dress it up in the way of a game where every role is kind of interesting,
yeah,
I mean that would be kind of cool to play.
You know what I always go back to is those old there were Warcraft maps, SimCity Wars, where you would have one person who built defense, one person who built offense, and one person who built economy, and each of the three were equally important because without one or the other, all of it collapsed. You know, and that could lead to a very interesting experience that was really neat.
Yep, I never played that, but
Oh well.
I understand the concept that you're going for.
Oh, I couldn't find House Stark here because he blended in with the clouds.
Yeah.
I find him in a minute, so don't worry about it.
It's alright.
But yeah, that's really... I thought that would be something that's kind of neat. And the last major, super crazy idea I had which would tie all these elements together, is you'd have sort of political groups. There it is.
Wow.
That's actually a really nice area. Anyway, you'd have sort of political groups that work together over time. Sort of like your nation isn't just your nation, it's a sum of everything around it as well. So, yeah, there's Toowoomba. All of my outrage. And then I started looking around to see if anyone else stole a name. I think the Thomas the Tank Engine group stole a bunch of Skaven names. So they've got like Gore Pit and things like that.
Dodgy.
Yeah. Yeah, like political groups and religious groups and things like that. If you remember from Civs 4, you had that sort of border, and it could push out against other people's borders. I'm sort of imagining that, but invisible, and it's not so all-consuming. So you could be a part of someone's religion, because the pressure around you from their religion just sort of pushes up. But you could also belong to another nation, and these things would conflict, and you would either pressure your own nation to switch your religion, or your nation would pressure you to switch to their religion, you know?
Yep,
and with it, you could potentially have like a, oh, sorry, my loyalties lie somewhere else. The game is going to change based off that. And you just wouldn't do it for religion, you'd do it for like, you know, culture would be the other big one. Culture could come back into play in that regard. Is our culture here? Is it there? You know, and then land would be the other one. Who owns what land? And just little things like that. And that would be how you tie in all this. Who lies with which loyalty? And that would.
So everyone has more, like, I guess, an agenda on top of like being forced instead of being forced into things like, say, via culture or religion.
Yeah,
they're still allowed to practice their agenda. It doesn't ruin the game depending on the things around them.
And don't get me wrong, there would still be elements in the game that allow you to push against this. Like, if you don't want to be a part of a religion, you could say, okay, we're going to ban outside religions from our towns, from coming into our towns. You'd essentially be like a mayor. And then you could ban that, and that might upset your people. Or even then, like your host nation, if you were underneath someone, that nation could say, no, we're free religion, everyone's allowed to preach, you know, and then they could overrule you, and you could get like a really interesting political climate going between the wishes of what you're trying to achieve and the wishes of the people in charge.
I wonder if some of that is not lost in the game where they try and simplify, like, say you take a certain government type that says this, and this, and then all you sort of get is like some local or national unhappiness because of it, where they've basically tried to simulate that. Like, cut out the whole, this is your, not ideology is the wrong word, because that means a different thing in Civs, but they've cut out your whole sort of, like I say, you pick a series of traits, be it a government style and a few other things, and then someone else conflicts with that.
I can't remember what it is.
And then, like the way the ideologies clash against one another, I suppose. You take an ideology and then it clashes, but you don't actually get the why of that. You just get negative happiness, because they try to sort of simulate that and take that out of your hands to simplify it. And maybe adding something back in would be better.
One thing I think that was a step in the right direction was Stellara. I haven't heard like anything particularly about that game, but one of the things... Stellaris, yes, sorry. One of the things I know about the game is you have demographics on like a per planet basis. You have a demographic of what aliens are in your nation. And that's, you know, that contributes to what you are overall. That what they want is, you know, they're your people, and what they want influences what you want. And that, you know, it's sort of like a push. Like, can you imagine, so you've got the happiness mechanic, and say your town is unhappy. And you go, okay, why is this town unhappy? This unhappiness is lowering productivity, I'm not getting money. So you go, why is this town unhappy? And you go, well, this town's unhappy because they want to preach their religion, and I'm not allowing that. And then you either go, okay, I'm going to accept this unhappiness, or I'm going to try and change their religion. And then you go to try and change their religion, but your host nation is like, no, we have a strict policy of not allowing outside religions because we don't want our people converting. And then you go to that your host nation, you go, look, this is becoming a problem for me. can we reach a compromise? Can you loosen up the laws so that I can be in control of religion of my town, and everyone else can be in control of their religion? And it would just provide, like I said, a more interesting political climate, a more interesting gaming experience, a more fulfilling thing. I
Yeah,
don't think there's a game
it
that
almost
does that.
seems ideally specifically not put in a game like this to try and oversimplify some of those things. I reckon they could have easily done that, but I don't think they wanted to do anything like that.
Well, that's what I said. Is they want Civs to be a game, not a simulation. Because
Right.
these are things that are like, this is, you're simulating as close to reality as you can get. Whereas Civs is meant to be a game where you play towards a win condition, and you play in different certain ways to try and achieve that win condition.
Yeah, it's 4X, so they're trying to
Yeah.
put everything out there for you to try different things.
And how I'm not even saying that's bad. In many ways, the fact that it sticks to being a game is good, because it means they can do things with mechanics that a simulation sometimes a bit restrictive of. If you've ever played EU4 or CK2, you can know that sometimes the game tries to restrict.
Well, they have to make like, because they're not as micromanagey as well. They have
Yeah.
to make, what do you call it, like an abridgment of rules and ideas, and they try
Yeah.
and shortcut things to simplify some things as well. Just different things to Civs, and that can that creates problems at the same time. So you're exactly right.
So this game's going to play until we get the Eiffel Tower.
Yay.
Or don't get it, one or the other. But we do have a
Yay.
great engineer, so hopefully we
It's
get
gonna
the Eiffel
speed
Tower.
build it. Problem is, we're at this point where turns are going to start. Either you're just going to go end turn, and do nothing except
Yeah.
change your building, or turns are going to start taking forever, because that's just what happens in Civs.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. But for the time being, that's what we're playing towards right now, just as a heads up. So that's why we're still there's still a little bit left. But yeah,
Alright.
I hope. So if you've ever heard of a game that does the things that I said, I would love to play it, because that is really the sort of experience I'd like to get out of a game, where I'm answering the needs of my people based off a complex political climate of the surrounding world, while still
Oh, we
having
should-
the war element.
You know what we need to talk about to
What?
wrap this one up? The game that had everything that really did everything poorly. Divinity Dragon Commander.
Oh god.
It was almost pretty close to what we kind of wanted. Not so much. Well, yeah, yes, no. The way that works in their little campaign world. Did he ask you to pay him to do the agreement?
Yeah, he did. He wanted more
Wow.
money for the
I would have
research
said
agreement.
no.
I said no, so I can upgrade these crossbows.
Oh, good. So, what that game did.
It gave
Let me
you
get my train of
choices.
thought back. Yeah, so the general outlay of it was you had 4 or 5 races that worked under your empire. Was it five or 6 maybe? I can't remember. 5. And so they all had ambassadors, and they used to come to you with a lot of sort of questions where you had multiple options and outcomes.
Well,
And
you had yes
you
or
would
no.
didn't they have more than 2 options?
No,
It
it
was sort of
was
like,
always yes
okay.
or no.
I can't remember. I only sort of played it a couple of times, and the over the course of the time, whether those races or the people managed by them ambassadors stuck with your empire depended on how you managed them.
Yeah.
The only problem in their case was that was all there was to it. There was no real, like, if you upset a race, the consequences weren't really significant to the battle you were trying to fight, the war you were trying to fight.
Yeah.
And the
There was-
choices were yes, no. There wasn't a lot of moral compass. It was more like you just pick it because this is the thing you want. There wasn't really
Well,
I kind of want to do this, but I kind of want to compromise on that. Like, there wasn't really a lot of that.
so one of the choices is like, do you allow drugs, basically? And I can't even remember if that had a gameplay impact. If you said yes or no.
No, it just
Like-
boosted one race and hurt
Yeah,
another race
it
for
made one
whatever
race
reason
like
they
you
made
more,
up.
and one race dislike you more. And
But that's
based
the,
off
that's
their
the
like or
kind of
dislike, you
thing.
got a little bit of money change. But who cares?
That's the kind of thing that we're
Yeah.
talking about, though. You, in theory, in a perfect world, that would be cool because you would have to react to these guys are saying, "Here's the thing all the people want." It's like, oh, you need the dwarves to like you. Okay, we need to make a change to help the dwarves
Yeah.
out.
Where you can,
and that'll get me more money or more weapons or something that the dwarves can give me unique to the other races, and
you know what?
that kind of level of management was cool.
You know what I've seen recently? Was you played Sim City, and you opened up the policies, and you were like, okay, I want to attract people to my city. I'm gonna put in neighborhood watch. I'm gonna put in this. I'm gonna put in this. Wouldn't it be great if there was something like that in Dragon Commander? And it was like, okay, I want to appease the dwarves. What policies can I introduce this turn to appease the
Right.
dwarves?
Tauren lost his capital.
Oh yeah, the Taurens got beat. And we got the Eiffel Tower, which puts us on, I think, the most tourism in the game, and the most
Yay.
tourism from a single city. So,
Yay. Yeah, anyway, I just wanted to bring that up. It's probably, we should
Yeah.
talk about that game in a whole, as a whole
Oh,
thing
yeah,
sometime, because
definitely.
that
Let's-
game had all the potential in the world and misfired in so many ways.
definitely.
But
I'm
it was something that if they got a sequel, they could nail it.
adding it to the list of games that are just colossal. Like, why?
It was, it just had all the potential, but it was too big for its, too big for its britches.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm just going to do a quick sweep around here. This is winding down. But
Yeah,
thank you for joining us. Here's the world. I hope you appreciate
it's a nice green world over here.
everything in it. And there's the Tree of Life, which I think is the Tauren place. Not a place from thing. Oh, yep, there's Seep Gore and God's Eye. Famous places from the underground. Don't forget Dead Rat's Peak from Sodor. Oh, yeah, and Festus Spike.
Ew.
So
That
I
just
do-
sounds disgusting.
I do hope you join us next time.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah. And I'll just wait for it to go to the menu.
Yeah, that's
Any
your little
parting
cue.
words? Yeah, I lingered.
No,
a bit.
nothing from me. Thanks for checking out, guys. We're just enjoying. Not as much Australian banter this time, apart from
Oh,
mocking us
yeah.
earlier.
We'll give you some Aussie banter next time. Thank you for joining
I'm
us.
sure.
And goodbye.
Bye.